This video focuses on the closing of your lesson, obviously a critical element in this process. The closing of your lesson has to include very specific information concerning, let's start with the most important piece, the data you will collect from each student that will give you information that will allow you to analyze your teaching and also to analyze student learning. So one of the first things you want to talk about in the closing is collecting the data, how you will collect it, what you will, eventually we'll talk about what you'll do with it, but starting the collecting the data from the students. The next very important part of this closing is the engaging part of the closing, getting student voice once again in the learning environment. Now, I know in most classes, the collecting of the data of what they learned, whatever format you are going to allow them to show their learning in, is considered the closing. We want to keep students engaged and thinking about the learning. So at the end of the lesson, once again, you have to choose a methodology that gets all student voices in the room. You've seen me do that in our class with a whip around. Everybody's saying something, focused in on the learning for that day. You may use whip around, you may use trios again, you may use any of those methodologies or some of the ones that you have seen at your site school or in other classes. After you've acquired the data and after you've had this engaging ending to the lesson, one of the most important parts of your work follows this, and that is your reflection. So at the end of this lesson plan, you are to do some in-depth thinking about, probably because you haven't taught this lesson, you're thinking about what you might expect, what you will do depending upon what the data tells you. So for instance, if students really didn't understand, what are next steps? If students really did understand, what are next steps? And a general reflection about how this lesson plan will inform your teaching. And what I mean by that is a couple of things. How you allow the data to inform your teaching, and how you will allow the environment that you've created through this lesson plan and students' response to it to inform your teaching. So that reflection piece is critical. Keep in mind, we're looking for reflections that are related to what an urban teacher is supposed to be demonstrating and understanding about their students. So all through this lesson plan work, we, meaning everyone who's going to look at your work, are definitely focused on how you are using students' funds of knowledge, how you are honoring their funds of knowledge through the data collection, through your expectations. And in your reflection, what are you thinking about students who live in this neighborhood, who have these cultures, that the students that you work with, and their belief systems? Make sure that is woven into your reflection.